We could do a live stream one day, actually. That'll be cool. So we're going to do this. Let's go over to Schoology, down in the assignments list. And our last Excel assignment, we're going to look at, first of all, we're going to be practicing a budget, but first we're going to play with some, what I think is pretty cool stuff. And I'm going to click on that assignment. And there's two files we want to download. One contains information about all the libraries in North America. Another file is an Excel file with some data in there for you to work with. So let's download each of them. I'm going to click on the one. It'll ask me where to download it. If it doesn't ask you, then you know that it's going to your downloads folder. I like it to ask me where to put files. So I'm saving libraries.txt. And I'm going to click on that and save that. It remembers the last location I saved it to. If it's not asking you, you'll just see it in your downloads folder. I'm going to save that. Now I want to open that Excel file. The easiest way to open that, if I'm using Chrome, is just click here and it shows me that file that I just downloaded. I can just click on it and it will open it. I could also go to the folder where it is if I click on that little folder icon. But I don't care where it is. I just want to know, hey, open that file that I just downloaded. And actually, I'm in Firefox right now. So Firefox shows you that little download. I think Chrome has the same thing. Your downloads listed up there. I'm going to open that file now that I just downloaded. Just the Excel one at this point. And I get this. Go full screen with that. I have this file full of data of some wonderful people that came to Emmaus. I think that was from 2022. Our list of our fine students. So you may see some people in there that you may know. What we're going to do is create a map tour of this data. Well, and I give you the instructions of how that's done. We basically go insert 3D map and we can learn about 3D maps. So I'm going to enlarge my ribbon and see that on the insert tab I should have 3D map. If you don't see 3D map there, do a search for 3D map. We found that some people in class the previous session didn't see this on their menu, but if you search for 3D map, you'll be able to run it. So let's click on 3D map, and it pops up a Google Earth-like window as it's thinking, and I have a globe that I can spin around and look at the world and learn my geography. I can even show labels on my maps, and as I zoom in, it'll show me the locations of things. So you can turn on labels just for fun. So I have like a Google Earth, not quite as good as Google Earth, but pretty cool. But it's needing some data. Right now it's just showing me a map. I can actually map data using these instructions. It says select a table or range and click on add selected data to 3D maps under the map button in the insert tab of the ribbon. Okay, so I have to select some data and then click select add data. All right, so let's go back to our worksheet and see if we can do what they say. Select some data, select a table or range, and then add. So let's go back to the Excel that I was just working on, this one here. And let's do that. Let's select the data. Well, the data, yeah. I did insert 3D map. Insert 3D map. Find it? If you don't see it there in the menu, go to the search bar and search for 3D map. The search bar at the very top. There were two students that had to do this in last class. One had her own computer. The other one, it was one of the school computers, for some reason didn't have that available. So just search for it. And did you find it in the search bar? Okay. And I believe once you use it, I think it will show up on your menu from then on. Okay. Now we created that map, and now we want to select the data. Well, I want to see the name of the person eventually, and their location and their country. So let's select through A1 all the way out to C, and I can keep dragging or grab the scroll bar now and go all the way to the bottom of my 208 students and select with a shift key, and that'll select that entire range. So select all the way from A1 all the way down to C208. And now all I have to do is go to 3D map, add selected data to my 3D maps. So 3D maps is like in a separate window. To send the data over to it, I have to select it and then say, oh, add that to my map that I have open right now. I click add to 3D maps and watch the magic happen. Of course, it's not really magic, it's technology. We don't believe in magic. Could call it a miracle of technology, I suppose. And now I see all those students with their addresses mapped on a cool 3D map of the world. I can spin around, and I see where those students all came from.
Hey, sir.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time. I selected this stuff, but how do you put it into the thing? I also have that.
Once you have it selected, you just go to 3D map on the insert and collect the little plus underneath it.
Mine like it says new tour.
Well, you hadn't opened the maps yet. Did you
I
already?
did open the map. It just looks a lot different than yours.
Does yours look like this?
Yeah.
Well, that's there. You didn't select the add selected data. You have to click the add selected data.
Mine won't let me click add selected data.
Oh, because it's not selected. Go back and select the data like this.
Mine's selected.
Because mine is, it's highlighted and surrounded by green, which is.
Let's take a look. Close that. Oh, the add selected isn't available. Did you close the map?
I hit.
Yeah, that means you close the map. You didn't want to close the map. So go back and open the map.
My map's still open.
Okay, now click on that one. Now go back to the Excel and now do the add. There you go. And then they should show up as little dots. There you go.
I was clicking on it, but then the wrong spot.
Right, that's what I figured. Data reference is not valid. What do you have selected over there? You have the right thing.
In my map.
Yeah, so go up to insert 3D map. No, click the down arrow right there. Now add.
It's like already out.
No, not the column, the A1, there, now go to the bottom, scroll down to the bottom, scroll down to the bottom. Now, shift select on the URL.
Yeah, I wonder if they have a text emojis.
Use your mouse.
Are you in my grade?
Point and click on USA, right there. And now, 3D map. There you go. No, that's fine. Okay, now they're working with your map now. Go over to the map. You have all these dots, and I turned on the labels just for fun. You don't have to turn on the labels. But now when I click on a dot, all I get is the location. I want to see the name of that person that I see in Madison, Wisconsin. Here's what I can do there. I come over here and click the gear, and that allows me to edit what shows up when I click on the dot. It's called the data card. So click on that little gear, and now I can add a field to my data card. Right now it's only showing the location. Let's click on the plus, and it shows me that it knows there's a full name in there.
How did you get that the plus and minus part?
I hover over a dot and go to the gear. The gear always means settings of something. Hover over the dot, go to the gear. Did you find that? Okay. And then you click the plus to add a field. right here, and I want to add the field of the name of the person. And I also want to add the field of the country, just because that's interesting. And I can rearrange this so my data card shows their name first and then the location and country. So I can click on full name and just drag it to the top, just so I have a nice name, city, country. Now I can click OK. And watch what happens now when I hover over a dot. It shows me that person that's located there, their city and country. And I can hover over anything here, and it'll show me who's located at that location. Notice if there's multiple people at that location, it'll show me all 3 of their names that are at that location. So a pretty powerful tool built right into Excel. And I can spin the globe around, and anywhere where I see a dot, I can see, oh, in South Korea, we have a particular person came that year. And there was also one in China, from China. And let's see, we had 2 from India. 2022, I believe. Yeah. Did you hover over the dot and hit the gear? Hover over the dot, add a field. Choose. Since you hadn't chosen the top column row. You don't have to go back. What it thinks the label is that first row. So click the add the field and choose Olivia Abbey because it thinks that's the name of the column with the name in it. Now move that to the top. Okay, and now go ahead. Click and drag it up to the top. And click and drag it just in the right place. There we go. You just have to be a little careful in how you drag it. Just drag it carefully. How about drag the top one down? How about drag the top one down? Actually, it would, no, if you want to. It's gonna take you a lot longer doing all this, kind of redo everything. It's gonna be very confusing. Just go back and click on the gear.
Oh, I got it.
Add the field of the Abbey. And drag Scott's points down.
Yeah, she was due.
I have some crazy stats on it.
Hold it down.
Like 70 drops. That's crazy.
Why isn't it not right?
100% download rate.
For me,
You said, oh, I was
I
I
got
stood
that.
up at least.
Well, don't worry about that. Just click OK.
I was
Now hover over that and see if the name. It just shows that you did it in order because it won't let you customize. Try the gear again and see if it'll let you drag those fields. Why doesn't it let you drag them? Are you okay?
You'll get the Nash
Yeah.
test.
But yeah.
Like, legitimately.
Sure, if you want, yeah, go ahead and change that name.
Oh my word, I found Garrett's wife.
Now we'll let you do it.
No, wait.
For me, it was easily done. You're okay, don't worry. That just means the order just shows up different.
I found your wife.
Okay, so we have a map now, and we have the maps of all our friends. We can show the labels or not, that doesn't matter. But this is just showing you that, hey, I can have a list of addresses and show them on the globe. If I ever want to play the tour, that just shows the data and I can spin it around. I don't have to have all the menus around. I hit escape to stop playing. You can actually create a video flying across your map from one to another. We're not going to do that today, but you could play around with that. You can do a screen capture and save that as something you could copy paste into a document of here's where our students come from. It could be a report to the chairman of the board of Emmaus. Here's where most of our students come from the U.S. And spin the globe around. They'd see all the dots from all over the world, and they'd say, "Ooh, how'd you do that in Excel?" But here we see that the concentration is generally from the Midwest. And it might be interesting just to show the concentration over the years where they've come from each year, because we have a list of the students from each year. But let's go back and practice doing this again with that other data. So let's go back to the Excel data itself. And now, remember we had that library data? That is the locations of the libraries in North America. So let's bring that data in and map that. Well, in order to get that data, I could go over to the file. Let's go see that file that we have, where we downloaded it. Let's see. I remember I can go back to Firefox, and I can go to where I downloaded it, and I can open that library's text file. Let's just look in that file and see what we have there. Oh, look at that. Let's see if I could copy all of that and paste it. Control A, Control C, copy. Come back to Excel, and let's try a new worksheet and paste it. That's the easiest way. And what do I get? Oh, that's not the data. That's not the library data. That's Control C, copy. Control C, copy, and paste. Oh, wait a minute. The copy paste isn't working for me. Or is that? Is it the data? Man, the last time I copy pasted, it didn't come in so nicely. It came in a really garbage format. Does yours come in columns?
Mine was all scrunched up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, this is the way when the first time I copy pasted it, it came in a real ugly format and couldn't work with my data. So let's do the copy pasting the way, if it doesn't come in right, what you have to do. For some reason, it came in okay this time for me. But here's how we can bring in the data if the copy paste doesn't give you nice columns of data. I can go to my data and go to text from text CSV. This is a way for Excel to bring in the data if it's not in a nice format that can't easily be copy pasted. If it does paste it in nice columns, then you're good and you're ready for the next step. But let's see what Excel can do to help me bring in data that I couldn't copy paste easily, but should be able to come into Excel. So I go for data from text CSV, and then I browse over to that file that I downloaded, the libraries.txt, and I have to go find where I downloaded it. This is where you have to remember, if it didn't ask you, then you know it's in your downloads folder. I remember saving it to my special folder over here. There's the library.txt. And I click that and click import. And now Excel looks at that data and tries to figure out a way that that data might be able to import. And look at that. It looks like it found the separate columns for me. And I can just say, hey, that looks good. I can now do load, and it will bring the data in the special formatting that it figured out itself for me. So this is a handy way if you have data that you think ought to be able to come in, copy paste didn't work, the transform or let Excel try to import it. It actually brings up this special little dialog, figures out what columns should go where from what it sees inside the data, and now I can just say load, and it brings that into a separate page in my spreadsheet. But it has a special label at the top. I want to get rid of this, so I'm going to click on convert that top label to a range. This will allow me to delete it because I don't need that top row because I have name, city, state as my top row. So I'm going to delete that top row that brought in for me and click convert to range, and now I can delete that row. It won't let me delete it if I haven't converted to a thing called a range yet. So I'm going to right click, delete that row now. Now I have name, city, state as my top row. All this data looks like good data. It has a city and a name. Let's do the same thing. Select through, click A1, drag all the way to the bottom, shift select the state, and now go to the insert, and I want to start a new tour. So I'm going to go over to insert, and instead of adding it to my 3D maps, I'm going to first start a new map by going to open 3D maps. Now I'm going to start a new one because I don't want to mess with the one I just did. I want to start a new tour. I could add it to the current one, and it would add the libraries as well as all those students into my system. Yes, ma'am. Where did you get lost? How far back?
I copied in the application, and it's in the little lines.
Yeah, it's in pretty line, so you don't have to worry about doing anything else. You don't have to do that input. So select A1. No, not the column. That's the column thing. A1 is that. Now go to scroll down the bottom now. No. Scroll to the bottom. It's a better way to do it. Because there's a lot of data here. And now shift select on Texas. Shift select on TX. Third column. Third column at the bottom. Third column. The column to the right. The columns are the things up or down. Shift select on Texas now. Now that's all the data that you want to go into your map. Okay. Now go insert. And you're going to make a new map. So go to 3D map and click on 3D map. Yeah. Open 3D maps. Then we're going to make a new one. So click on the plus. We're going to make a new tour. And now, you'll, yeah, there's all the data from your libraries. Coming in, all 3,000 lines. There you have your libraries added. Yep.
But what about if you get columns? Yeah.
Oh, if you did a copy paste, you don't need to worry about the formatting stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, if the copy paste works for you, you don't need to worry about having to do that convert thing. But if the data doesn't copy paste nicely, using this will let Excel process your data and perhaps figure it out and separate it into columns. If the copy paste gave you columns, you can just use that data just fine.
Were they supposed to be on the same one?
It doesn't matter. I wanted to put it on a separate one, so I started a new map. If you have one map and just do add the data, it'll add it right automatically to that one you had open.
We won't get docked for that.
No. So this shows you that you can do either bring it onto a new map or add it to a current one. So in my maps, I have multiple maps. If I go to my Excel and I go to 3D maps, it'll show me that right now I have one tour. I can actually start a new tour of just the library data. So if you click add the data to a map, it'll add it to the current one, and it'll put it in a different color on the current map you have. But suppose I want to have a new map, I can start a new tour, and because I have a new tour, it should add the new data to my map. And this time it did, probably because I didn't have it selected. So if I select through this data, scroll to the bottom, select the lower right corner of all my data, shift select, then I go back to that tour. If I say, hey, add it to this one, I can, let me start a new one here. Adding the data gets a little weird sometimes. Say I want to add a new field from that other sheet. Let's do,
Mr. Manning, whenever I'm creating a new map for it,
yeah,
it's not appearing at all.
right. So here I have two tours. This one is currently open, and it's showing the data already from the students. Let's rename this libraries. It appears it doesn't know about my library data yet. Let's see if I can add. See, it only knows about one range of data, the country, full name, and location. Let's see if I can add that data. Let's go back to my map here. Let's do add selected data to 3D maps. Now, it adds it on top of my students. And if I want to go to the other one, let's see here. I could go to my other tour editor. Let's see. It's only showing the one tour. Let's hover. Well, let's just go with adding the same data to my existing map. If I hover over a dot, notice I only see the city and state this time. I want to add the name of my library. Just like I did before, I can go to the gear and add the field of the name of the library. And this one does allow me to drag it. I'm not sure why yours isn't letting you click and drag the name up to the top. And the only reason for that is when I hover over a dot, I want to see the name first. So now I see every name of the library with 2 ranges in my available data to show on my map. Yep.
When I do the gear, I don't have the option for the name. I definitely add. I did all the same steps to add the data that I did on the first chart.
Let's take a look. Oh, click on that field. That's because you hadn't selected that top row when you added the data. Just click on that one. And, yeah, just click on that one. And now drag that to the top. Click and drag that to the top. What it thinks is that first row of data is the label. It thinks that's the label. So go ahead and click OK. And now hover over a dot, and you should probably see it, the name of it. So it thinks that top row. Go back to where you selected the data. And see how that means you had selected that first row. Go very, very top. When you selected the data, you hadn't selected that first row. So it thinks this row is the label. It automatically thinks your first row of data is the label for the column. So that's no big deal.
Need to make like a column that has the name.
Yeah, and you had that there, but you hadn't selected it when you said add the data. Like, or you might have deleted that row when you pasted.
Yeah.
But that just means it's thinking that is your row header.
Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. What do you have selected? So let's go back to the data that you have. I can't tell. Go ahead. Go back to your data. And widen these columns so I can tell. It looks like they are separate columns in there in your data. Now go back. Go all the way to the very top. Grab your scroll bar. Go to the very top. Oh, there. Okay. So name, city, state. Okay, that was selected. Go back to 3D maps. Yeah. And so again, that's the one you're trying to work on, right? Okay. So click on that, and then go to the layer pane, and over here for location, click on the plus, and add your second range. Click city, and then they'll show up. So it's kind of weird. Sometimes they'll automatically show up. Other times you have to go over there and add it. Maps is kind of finicky.
The state should be included too?
I would add the state. It makes it more interesting. It knows where to put the location. So remember what's doing here. This is map, a very powerful feature, but it is a little quirky on how to figure out how to get the data into it. But once you have it there, you can hover over a dot and map your. If you have a listing of national parks across the country or across the world, Excel will let you map that onto a geographic map. Yeah.
It on one,
Yeah. If it's on one, that's fine.
both the people.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's fine. And to get it on a separate one, you just have to play with this more. And you can basically what you can do is you can create a new tour. You can choose how the data gets added to it. But how the tours work and how they add labels and things, you have to play with maps a little bit. But this is something that once you have a listing of data from interesting places, either friends locations or a listing of national parks or gold mines, potential treasure locations and you happen to be traveling in that area, you could pop this up, say, hey, we're in that area of research labs or other or churches. You have a list of all the churches that you'd like to, and you're traveling somewhere. Oh, I have the map. So you're seeing that the data is very valuable, but putting it in on a map makes it even more valuable if you know you're traveling somewhere, or you want to send a mailing, or you're looking for some places to visit along your vacation. A map like this is very useful, and you can make it yourself as long as you can find a listing out there on the internet or some source of data. If you can find data in this format, it has a city and state, you can map it. If you have more detailed, like the actual address, I believe it actually would put a dot on the actual address of that person if you have city, state, and street address. So a very powerful tool, but let's go to the more practical things now. This was just more playing with maps. If you don't have it perfect, worked out, that's not a big deal. The main thing is we can practice now in Excel a basic budget. Let's practice our basic budget before we leave Excel behind. I don't need to see this anymore. I don't know why that is showing up there. I'm going to practice a basic budget and what's that? Yeah. And don't worry if the map isn't perfect. This is more of just giving you credit for messing with maps. If the map doesn't come out perfect, the main thing is you see that feature and you know how to get to it. But so this part is going to be important. Let's make a budget. And let's practice some basic things. Guarantee you this, something like this is going to be on the final. So we're going to practice it now, and we're going to practice it again right before the final. So let's put in the month of the year. We're going to expand this out to the entire year, and we're going to have our beginning balance. We're going to have some income, and we're going to income from job number 1, job number 2, from Grammy. Grammy's going to send us a gift if our income is below our balance is below a certain amount. All right, and then we're going to have total income. Let's indent all of these. Select and homepage, indent. So there's our incomes, and we already know. Let's put some numbers in here just for fun. Let's put in a balance of $15,000. Income from job number 1, $2,000. Job number 2, let's see, $1,500. Now Grammy sends us a gift, but let's make a note. I'm going to right-click, insert a comment. This is handy when you want to advise people about the particular cell or just make a comment about that. Right-click, insert comment. The comment is Grammy sends a gift when my balance is below, let's make it $5,000. So we need to put a formula in there for Grammy's gift. That note will show up. Now that I've added a note, if I click off that cell, I'll know there's a note there because I see the little red arrowy thing. If I hover over that cell, it shows me the note. If I click on the cell or click on the note or right-click edit note or edit comment, I can expand that comment, make it more readable. And now I want to put in the formula that will match that note. Well, what would that formula be? Equal if. The whole reason I put this in there is to give you a little practice at the if formula. If formula, well, what was the note? See, I think if I leave that, I'll see that when my balance is below 3,000, then she'll send me my gift. Whoa, I forgot something in the note here. We have to know what is the gift going to be. Let's edit that note. Edit that comment. She sends me a $1,000 gift. No, $2,000. She's very generous.
Hey, Mr. Manning,
Yep.
whenever I click on a cell, it doesn't.
Right click. Right click.
Sorry, right click. Just dominant finger. Anyway, it doesn't show insert comment.
Right click. What do you get when you right click?
I get like there is an insert dot dot dot, but it doesn't
Down below,
Not down below.
is there anything below insert dot dot dot?
Uh,
You see delete, clear,
yeah, delete,
keep going down.
filter, source, get data from table, new comment.
Yeah, there he is, new comment.
Oh, okay. I was looking for insert.
So yours says new comment, not insert.
No. Yeah, it says new comment.
What version are you using?
I have no clue.
You're using an old version. I think it should still work though. Okay, so that comment, she sends me $2,000. Well, that means I need an if formula here. And as soon as I start typing my formula, the note goes away, which is kind of irritating. But she sends me $2,000 when my balance is below 5. So I type equal if. When my balance is below 5, what would the formula be? My balance is up there in B3. Yeah, B3 less than 5. That's the condition of me getting the gift, right? Because Grammy says she sends me a gift when my balance is below 5,000. Now, what does she send me as the gift? Comma, what does she send me as the gift? $3,000, right? She's $2,000. She's very generous. Comma, otherwise, what does she send me? Nothing. If I don't put a 0 there, I'll get a weird false. So I want to put a 0. She doesn't send me anything. And now that's Grammy's gift for that month because I have a balance of $15,000. Now my total income, this is where our Sigma friend helps. Under the Home tab, I click Sigma, and there I have the sum of those 3 cells, the 3 income cells. Now a common error on the final is to include the balance in my total income. No, 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 no. Balance is balance. Income is what gets added to the balance. So it is not part of income. Do not include the balance as part of your total income. Let me say that again because some of you are going to not do this right in the final. The income is only the total of the income, not the balance. The balance is not part of income. So don't add the balance to your total income. That comes later when we get our ending balance. Okay? So our total income. Now let's get some expenses. Gonna make a total row for expenses. And we don't want that indented, so let's move that out. The underneath the expenses will be indented. And our first expense that is usually the largest expense is our rent or mortgage. So let's call it housing. So that could be either your rent or mortgage. We're renting, so we're renting at a decent rate of $800 a month. Next expense, probably food. And let's say we're spending maybe 20 bucks a day on food. That's rather expensive, but let's make that about 500. We're on a diet, we're not spending so much. The next expense, let's see. Well, we have clothing. And we want to be up to fashion, so we're spending $200 per month on clothing. And what else? Oh, we got to keep the house warm. And we need to use water. We take showers and things. So let's say around 200. That's electricity and everything. What other expenses? Well, we've got to let's see. We've got to travel. That's right. We got to travel. So we have automotive. How many cars we have? That includes gas and maintenance. Let's say about $200. Depending on how expensive a car we have, if we're still paying on the car. And what else? Let's see here. We also have a miscellaneous. Oh, can't forget giving to the church. Now, giving to the church is going to be a formula depending on how spiritual we are. Down here in our assumptions. Down here in our assumptions, we'll call it spirituality. And the standard for a Christian is 10%, right? We're going to give 12%. So, the formula for church giving, is our 12% down there in the assumptions times what? Times our balance or times our income? Yes, it's times the income. You're particularly even more generous, more spiritual if you give a percent of your balance, but standard is the percent of your income. So that is equal to, let's point at our income, times, and we multiplied by our spirituality. But we're planning to copy this formula to the rest of the months of the year, and this is where we have to remember absolute referencing, right? Because as we copy our formula, we don't have a separate spirituality for each month. We have, this is our spirituality, our absolute reference to that. So we hit F4 and sticky that, or introduce the $sign. The main one that matters is the $sign left of the B, because remember we're planning to copy to the right in the same row but new columns. We don't want this column to change, so we sticky the B. And now we have our calculation for income, or for the church donation, and we have our miscellaneous. Now we need to total our expenses. That will be, for miscellaneous, let's estimate $250. Now total expenses, I can use my friend, the sigma guy again, and it will calculate the sum of the numbers all above, and that looks like the right range of numbers. I hit enter, and I have my calculation of total expenses for that first month. And I'm missing one row. Let's insert an extra row here. I want to put in ending balance. This is the marriage saving formula again. Visiting one more time the marriage saving formula. It is equal to, you think you can recite that with me? Equal to beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Beginning balance plus income minus expenses gives you your ending balance, and hopefully, if you're doing things right, your ending balance is higher than your beginning balance. We're doing okay right now. So ending balance is the, I added a row just to make room for it. Yep, I added a row to give me a little space as well. And so the numbers will change. Now, let's put in our, right click there to add a row, insert. Okay, now we want to put in the month, January, and let's fill handle to the right. Click, fill handle, click, click once. But I don't know my fill handle. I don't see the dot, but the fill handle does show up when I go to the lower right corner. Go all the way out to December. Marriage saving formula down in ending balance.
So you added a row and then you put on 21.
Yep. Just because I like a little space between that and the previous. Ending balance is the marriage saving formula. Beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Beginning balance plus the income, total income. Beginning balance plus total income minus expenses. Beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Beginning balance plus income minus expenses. Got it? All right. Now, we fill handled the January all the way out to December. I'll zoom out a little bit. Now, February's beginning balance is not January's beginning balance. So we don't fill handle January's beginning balance, right? We need February's beginning balance to be January's ending balance. So I type equal, and then I point at January's ending balance. And hit enter. And I have January's ending balance. Now I can fill handle all the way out to December. Don't panic if you see zeros there yet, because we need to fill handle these out as well. So fill handle out. This balance is always going to be the previous month's ending balance. Now I can fill handle, select through all of those, and fill handle those out to all the way out to December. And I see that I am increasing my ending balance every month. Grammy doesn't need to send me a gift because I am being frugal in my expenses.
Like, wait, still really fast. How did you get the zeros to not be zeros anymore?
By fill handling out all the months. Yeah, you're going to panic when you see this. You say, wait a minute, I did something wrong. No, you have to finish out filling out the rest of the table. Then you can panic if you have zeros. Then and now it's getting last month's ending balance is this month's beginning balance.
Did you just go down to total expenses and fill handle, or did you go down to spirituality?
Do we want to copy spirituality? No, this is an assumption is going to be only in one spot. We don't copy it. We don't fill all of that out. That is one. We're saving that number. And if we decide to be more spiritual, we're going to be 50%. Uh-oh. Now our balance is going down a little bit. We're a little too spiritual. Let's say we're giving all our income to the church. We're going to be 100% spiritual. Well, we got a problem. So we can't be too spiritual. We can only be 12% spiritual. Something missing here in practicality. You should be putting some money into your 401k every month because you want to have some money left when you retire. But that is it for just a little practice. And you can save that, and that's upload that. If you don't have it finished, don't worry. I'm more giving you a practice. Yes.
Mine's not whole handling right.
It's like the wrong numbers.
I'll stop here. I'll come help you finish that. I will also upload this to the recording here. Let me stop the recording, and I'll come help you.